What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for August 24th. It took me a second. I literally had to look at my calendar. I was doing the introduction meditation for myself to get into this, and I heard the opening guitar of Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, so that's kind of cool. So that might resonate. I don't know. Okay. I know the idea is not to let external circumstances like dictate moods and things like that, but having a pretty good morning. Found out some great health news. Blood pressure's regulating again, which is awesome. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know if it's like a Virgo season shift or what the heck is going on, but we'll see where this takes us here. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for August 24th, please? August 24th. Okay, so this is You Are Pure Joy. I'll read that first. So you are pure joy. And then we have Celebrate Life. I'll read that at the end. Okay. Dear you, now is one of those times you're being asked to add some distance, take a step back, and do nothing but observe. Don't worry about how long it will take to regroup. Just know it's temporary and actually an opportunity to take a breath, slow down, and look at how far you've come. Decisions for the highest good are made when you have clarity, which comes from being open to information from both the intellect and the intuition. When you step into the role of observer, it's as if you turn on a switch that allows your soul to be an essential part of this information gathering and decision-making process. In this way, you can approach things from a more neutral and non-judgmental place. We know you'll make the right choice. Trust us when we say now is not the time to get too close to the fray. Step back now, you'll be glad you did. It's a little bit of like, there's a couple retrogrades happening right now, and I feel like that sort of captures the essence of it. Yeah. Okay. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for August 24th, please? August 24th. We have Justice, so some Libran energy there. Maybe some diplomacy is the call to adventure. Diplomacy, negotiation, maybe negotiating. That's where I feel like it's like negotiating the dance between observation and action, right? Between observation and action. And just watch. Let me move this down here. There we go. Okay, so the Ace of Wands on top. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Wow. Okay, so like all of the cards that capture like the call to adventure. We have the Fool. Ten of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. I feel like there's a lot of, this could be a lot of downloads coming in, but I feel like this is maybe a little bit of a feeling of things coming into alignment because of actions you've taken, because of actions you haven't taken, if it's this observer thing. Because I feel like the Fool is about what we put our faith in, right? The Fool is a new adventure. It's a leap of faith, but it's because you're putting faith in yourself or faith in something to do with your energy as opposed to externally facing, right? And I feel like it's sort of, I'm getting that it's like maybe drawing in some of this. This is really cool. What I'm seeing is the way that this, I don't know, ether, I want to call it, on the side here, it's almost like I'm seeing it as connected to part of the energy in this card. I don't know if it's showing up as such, but you can kind of see where it's like, it almost like it turns into the music. Two internally facing cards though, bookending a lot of happiness. So I feel like there's, if you haven't been going within or reflecting, I think it's a good time to do that. There's inspiration within that I think needs to be heard or is being heard. This is the real call to adventure here, right? This is the real call to adventure, as opposed to the false one. But you know what I'm saying. Let's not dichotomize something that doesn't need to be. But I feel like it's like discerning. There was maybe a period of discernment, and that's what this Justice card was. Like maybe there was just a period of discernment, and now it's the leap. Now you're taking the leap. The Sun. Wow. Okay. So like, just like start with a bang, right? Go all in right out of the gate. Right from the jump. Yeah. So let's see here what we've got. So we have the Hierophant, some Taurian energy. The Death card. Wow. Lot of majors. Yeah. Okay, so the call to adventure is definitely leaning inward so that you can then move outward. So that's kind of what the call to adventure was. And I almost feel like this Justice card is the assessment of things coming together as a result of that, right? So it's almost like what is coming to fruition, cause and effect, right? That's how I see this particular card, is Ace of Swords, cause, Two of Swords, effect. So it's like, how you dealt with things internally, it shapes your truth. And this is sort of the articulation of both of those things out in the world. How inside integrity have you been? We're not perfect, so we can't demand that of ourselves or others. That's not fair. But I think this is just a time of, and this could be, saying that this is the next step you need to take. This is the next step for you to go on. And I think it's that sort of inward reflection, right? When you step into the role of observer, it's as if you turn on a switch that allows your soul to be an essential part of the information gathering and decision-making process. Yeah, and that's what I feel like this is. It's like, do I still have it in here? No, I do not. Yeah, but I read a book by a Peruvian medicine man. The author's name is Hashumak. I might have mispronounced that, but it's Hachmha. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on this. My brain is like, oh yeah. Hachhumak. There we go. I had to write it out. Ugh, having some trouble visualizing. But anyways, right, so that was the author, and they talked about soul consciousness versus suffering consciousness in terms of the way that we process and go about our healing journey. And there's different names that everyone has for these things, but I liked the idea of soul consciousness because it's not something that is necessarily outside of you. It's something that you can cultivate inside of you, and it's something that it's like a choice, right? Suffering consciousness or soul consciousness. It was just a great read in general. So but I feel like this is like that soul consciousness, right? Soul consciousness. And I'm also getting the interesting thing that could become a tower if it goes unchecked is faith in things outside of yourself. I love that these two cards showed up together because I feel like the Fool is this faith in yourself, right? Having faith in yourself and what you want. And then the Hierophant here, where it can become a tower, I'm getting is when you place too much faith in things outside of yourself, not because you don't want to have needs or distance yourself, because we do thrive on connection. We need it. But I almost get that this is like, what are you placing your faith in, right? And the protagonist energy here in this hero's journey spread is who you become as a result of that, how you become. And I think the antagonist energy is this sort of, it might be relying on too much of boundaries that worked in the past, and not boundaries in the sense of things that keep you safe. I'm talking about defensiveness, right? A bit of guardedness. If you rely on the guardedness as opposed to what your soul is telling you about something and your intuition, like I feel like this is a big high priestess spread. But nonetheless, I feel a lot like there's this sort of, this is what worked before because it was working with a different level of consciousness, right? Like suffering consciousness versus soul consciousness. So I almost feel like this soul consciousness shift is sort of showing up in this death card here. Some Scorpio energy. In terms of signs so far, we have Libra, some air. We also have Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. I don't know if I said Scorpio. If I did, sorry. And then I think the main challenge is just overcoming disappointments. And these are sort of emotional barriers that we've put up, right? Like these are this is like the reasons that we need to be more guarded than open in the antagonist position. But then the call, really, the challenge, this challenge that we're integrating with wisdom we take from the day and the path is, it's almost like I'm hearing that it's like disappointment happens when we place our faith in external things more than within ourselves and what exists there, right? What exists there. And I feel like this death card is the transformation where you're turning towards what's within you, the cosmos that you have within your soul. And it's that turn towards something bigger. And it's like letting this go. I think the challenge has been or is letting go of things that might have disappointed you, things that might have, I don't want to say upset you, because I feel like the Five of Cups is deeper than that, right? This is a little bit of disappointment, regret. And there's a lot of healing here. This Three of Cups is like, community. It's like a sense of community. I want to say belonging, but again, belonging comes from within you first, right? It comes from within you first. And I'm getting that there's this sense of, I want to say celebration, but it could also just be, events or things where you come together with others and you really start to see, this is possibly like a pause that you took, or a moment that you took, and then you're sort of reinvesting your energy, like going. So the way I'm seeing it is sort of like, not a hermit. It's not a hermit phase or energy, but it's like taking a pause, reassessing how you're managing your energy, what you're doing, taking responsibility for it, and then returning to, then coming back to, and moving forward with all of this. And not moving forward in a way that's like small or where you're playing small, but like moving forward in a way that's, I think sincere too, because the cups are an energy of sincerity, right? It's an energy of sincerity. And I think that this is helping you to see what your next steps are going to be with much greater clarity. This is like a planning card, right? So there's something that's on the horizon that I feel like you're more discerning from the heart space, right? You're more discerning from the heart space as opposed to being in the mind as much, right? This helped you. The book title that's coming to mind right now, but just a sort of axiom to take with you is what got you there what got you here won't get you there. And that's sort of like what got you here is not going to get you there necessarily. So it's two different energies that you're showing up in. One has more emotional depth out of necessity for where you're going on the journey, because being connected to yourself emotionally, it's a form of intimacy that when you familiarize yourself with it, you'll find that it's also a way that it's like intimacy with yourself, and that also begets a better way of cultivating intimacy with others, right? So they're connected, and that's where your intuition comes into play. So this was a pretty straightforward spread. So let me just see where we're going here. I'll clarify a little bit. Spirit, what messages do you have to clarify this daily creative spread? Please and thank you. Yeah, I just feel like it's like questions of where you were putting your faith. Because where we put our faith, it's like what our beliefs are, our fundamental beliefs, right? Like those things can shift and change, but it's how we invest that energy that tells us a lot about what we believe. Three of Cups. Yeah, I also think that this might be beliefs about interacting with others, beliefs about connections, beliefs about community, friendship, and also celebration and being celebrated, right? Birds of a feather. This could also be finding others similar to you in terms of what you believe and what you value. I know Victor Otto Odo, I probably mispronouncing that, but he just did a video about like low vibe friendships and things like that. And it was quite loud because like we all have those moments where we shift and change, right? And I kind of sat with it and but it's that kind of idea where as you change and shift, so too does your outside environment. And I think that this is kind of saying to make peace with that and to look, putting together a plan, but planning. How do I word this? Thank you so much. Okay, so you're not trying to structure the entirety of the experience. You're understanding what you want to experience coming from a place of feeling as opposed to this is what it has to look like. Like you're not getting caught up in details and things like that. So we have Justice, the Five of Cups, and the Three of Cups. So Justice, Five of Cups, Three of Cups. And to clarify that, we have the 10 of Wands, the Queen of Cups, and the 10 of Swords. Wow. No, 9 of Swords, sorry. Yeah, it's kind of giving up giving up the disconnect. And I think maybe the disappointment tells you where you were disconnected before. If there's regret, like I kind of have a fraught relationship with the idea of regret, because, we can't really, because regret can keep us in this sort of place where we're holding grace away from ourselves. We're holding compassion away from ourselves. And, we can say, well, regret teaches us all these things. And it's a great, topic of discussion to dive deeper with folks, but just to understand how they see the world and things like that. But I think it's about understanding your relationship to almost like how you're holding yourself to, because that also is how you will connect to and relate to other people, right? And it's like rebuilding the foundation of connection, I think, because it was like these cups needed to be emptied. They needed to go. And I think that that's helping you to emerge in this place of, I think, justice in this instance. To me, what I'm sensing is that it's coming across as, yes, this is happening, not just externally, but there's like a truth that you had to find within, right? There's a truth that you had to find within. And I almost get this as like showing up in a shadow sense, because it looks, that's sort of the place you had to go to figure out what truth you were articulating to get here, right? But I think that there have been quite a bit of releases that are connected to this Queen of Cups energy that's repeating, which tells me that it's there's an emphasis on the heart space right now. There's an emphasis on the heart space, and there's something truly wonderful about that. I think that there's something really, really quite lovely about it. I'm just hearing the opening, the album Love by it was like remastered or something like that, and that was what kind of got me into the Beatles when I was much younger. And that particular album has Here Comes the Sun, and when I look at this, I hear the opening guitar hook for it, so that just came through again. And like the sun is also here, so take that for what you will as well, right? So we have the Fool, Ten of Cups, Ace of Wands, Hierophant. Spirit, can you please clarify these energies for me? Eight of Pentacles. I'm hearing it's not so much, so we can put faith in things outside of ourselves, and we kind of do to an extent every day that we leave the house, right? We put faith in other people driving around us. We put faith in coworkers. We put faith in buildings running as they should, in just certain things that we just come to expect, and they may be taken for granted things about the day. But it's like where you're investing your energy, there's something about this here. Whichever place you invest your energy, that's what becomes true for you. So being very cautious, not being very careful and discerning. Again, discernment. Being very discerning about where you invest that energy, right? Because you can invest in things outside of yourself, but if your core is disconnected from passion, it's disconnected from the faith that you need to have in yourself at a base level, not just to get out of the door every day, not just to get out the door every day, but in that deeper way of connecting to your truth. Page of Pentacles. Oh, and underneath we have the Five of Swords. Yeah, this is kind of like, you can offer specific things of yourself. And others can too. But it's like where you're investing this energy will shape and change how you receive it. Because if you're in an imposter syndrome place, a lot of things are going to look like conflict that isn't there. If you're in a place where you're not offering or seeing your value correctly, you will invest in energy that then takes you further away from this Ten of Cups, not because of life circumstances necessarily, but because you don't offer yourself in the same way, right? You hold back. You hold back on yourself. And in turn, you kind of hold back on giving to the world too, because I mean, that sounds quite grandiose, but I just mean in the sense that like, you're not giving of yourself in a way that honors what you have to offer. Okay, these kind of came out here. So we have the Seven of Cups, the Five of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hanged Man, and the Three of Wands. Yeah, it's moving away from, and this is beautiful that it's on this transformation, that it's clarifying the Death card here. I think this transformation really has to do with, it's almost like feeling like maybe you had no option, maybe feeling like there was like a sense of stagnation in that way. And again, Five of Pentacles, not looking at yourself in a way that that honors your value, right? Looking at things from a glass half empty perspective. The Wheel here is kind of imploring an expansion, and that's what I think this is triggering this transformation. Could be triggering this transformation, because I think you're seeing the bigger picture, not just in the sense of where you fit, but I think you're seeing the bigger picture in terms of how it fits with everything else. This ships coming in idea, right? Like even if it's hard to believe in, if you had ships coming in, what would that feel like and look like to you, right? Like if you had ships coming in, how would you feel? Like if you had ships coming in, what would that mean to be true about your value and worth? And it's not, you don't connect the two. Ships don't come in because you're worthy, like, or because like you're in that space. It's like they come in because you recognize that fundamentally you're worthy, and everything you do is a byproduct of that worth, right? It's not, they don't come in because there's some like aspect of fate that just brings them in and you're surprised, right? You know that if you cultivate your life in a specific way, specific things will happen. And I feel like this transformation is sort of moving out of a place of stagnation, because I feel like with the 10 and the 9 here, maybe there was a cycle that ended. And with the Wheel here, I'm more inclined to believe that now that it's coming through, because I see that there's a sense of, it's like shifting out, and it's like making the Hanged Man is, to me, it's a card of enlightenment on the one hand, but it's also making decisions about where you're investing your energy. It's making decisions about that, right? So Spirit, can you please clarify this Seven of Wands, and maybe the Sun card as part of it? Judgment. Wow. Yeah, it's the, you know what? This is like the decision to be more open. I feel like this is a decision to be more open. And it's not that it brings in all of the opportunities. I think that you become the opportunity. That's interesting. The way that that's kind of landing here is just that it's not about opportunities in terms of getting stuff or things manifesting externally. This is a light that's kind of coming from within you, right? It's like a resonance, like the energy of the sun, the vibration of the sun can recognize you where you are. And it's not like it's not, I mean, the sun is to many a deity, but Spirit, can you clarify this a little more? I just heard no, because okay. It's because it's the sense of fulfillment within you. There's this light within you. The Seven of Wands, right? The light within you. The light within you here. That's really what it is. And I think it's the decision in terms of what you focus on, right? Judgment showing up twice. Justice and Judgment. Both decision cards, but this one is more about like the impact of the things that are within your control and a little bit outside of your control too. Like what did you do with them, right? That's also a bit of Saturnian energy, and Judgment is more Pluto. But that's where I feel like you're transforming the things that you couldn't change and working with what you can. Okay, that's too many. Oh, Spirit's funny. Okay. Wow. Okay, so what kind of fell out, and then on the bottom. So kind of capping this off, I'll get to that, is the World, which again, cycle ending. And then I was like, Saturn. It was Saturn. As you speak it, so it shall be. Seven of Wands showing up again. This is really fascinating to me because it's clarifying the Seven of Wands, right? This decision to seek happiness within you is what opens up what feels like everything. Because again, it's like, it's the light within you, right? The fire within you in this particular, in the pocket wild unknown. But it's like the light within you that starts to shine, right? You find the flame inside of you, and that brings about this wonderful and beautiful shift. Like, you get the Magician, informed by the Eight of Cups. So it's like manifesting. I feel like this is kind of like a new beginning, because then the Ace of Pentacles is here as well. So it's like manifesting a new beginning, and it's not a leaving behind from a disappointed place, but it's more of a movement towards. That's how I see the Eight of Cups, right? It's a movement towards. It's a sort of intentional journey. In the traditional Rider-Waite, you'll see the person wearing a backpack and going off in search of, and kind of in a hermit place. But I think this is more of just an indication of movement towards, right? An intentional assessment and then movement to seek out more fulfillment. And then boom, the Ace of Pentacles comes in, right? And then as we continue on that journey, there's so much healing and hope. And I think it allows you to, it could be drawing in soulmate energy, but these deep roots. What this tells me is that relationally, you are so deeply rooted that it allows your relationships and connections, specifically because the Three of Cups showed up twice here, it allows those relationships to flourish in a different way, right? It's almost like those parts of your life, that part of your life, it's now being brought under the light of the sun. And when it's brought under the light of the sun, not just, conceptually speaking, but the sun within you, that happy place that you may be like nervous about showing people because you feel like it's stupid or you feel foolish. Like, it's just that's where your heart lives. That's like, it lives there. So to be disconnected, and again, Queen of Cups showing up twice, these energies are repeating because there's emphasis on heart space, relationships and connections, where you put your faith, right? And what you put your faith in, and whom, and the conflict cards here are in the context of assessment, moving forward, and releasing, right? So those are the ways that the conflict is showing up, which is a good kind of conflict, right? It's not the kind that is based more in transmutation. This is more about, decisions, that Judgment card. So I feel like there's a lot of things on the horizon, Two of Wands, especially in the context of this little vignette here with this Seven of Wands here, clarifying it. But I feel like right now, the most powerful thing that you can do is not to look to the cups that are, broken from the past. It's not about that. It's not to be in that energy. I get far more so that, this is about moving towards, like, what seeds do you want to plant? And this, I get the feeling, because these cards don't, like, you don't get the Fool and the Ten of Cups and the Ace of Wands because you don't know what you want. You do. That's an indication that you do. And it's having the faith in yourself to go for that, to reach for that, to reach towards it, to move towards it, not to see in terms of impossibilities, but to see in terms of the maybes. To see in terms of, I was watching part of this morning, Michael Sandler's, I think it's like Re-Energize Yourself. I haven't watched the rest of it yet, not yet, but the first part of it was talking about like letting go of control. And, for those of us who, like myself, have some CPTSD that can just be like it just gets flipped sometimes and you just have to transmute it. In those moments, control feels really safe because a lot of things might have been outside of, the realm of control, but it really is it doesn't exist the same way that we think it might. And I think that that's what's showing up here as well, right? That's what's showing up here as well. And also just my own personal experience lately has just been that the more that you try to feel safe, the less safe you will feel, right? Certainly physical circumstances and things like that need to feel safe. You need to be in a place and in a way that is either there or moving towards it, right? That's a pretty basic thing. But I'm talking about in relationships based on your expectations, other people's behaviors, and I'm just feeling like there's this shift towards safety in relationships, right? Solid foundations because of the way that you're putting faith in yourself. Like, I'll handle it. I think that's the book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, where one of the things that she talks about is saying, like, to things that scare you, well, you know what? I've handled 100% of my life up to this point. I'll handle it. And it's not to say put yourself in precarious situations just to test your mettle. It's not like that. No, it's about saying, you know what, I know that I have within me something that has gotten me this far. And if I've, not just survived my life, but if I've had moments where I've thrived and I remember that, then you know what, I have what it takes. I have it within me to take the next step, to do the next things, to do the next right thing for myself, right? So it's about understanding that. And I think that's what this really is here. That's what this really is here. And it is kind of a generative, it's like generative of hope, the 6 of Cups and the Star. It's like generative of hope, because that's where real growth takes place, where you allow yourself to deeply root into your life. You allow the roots to sink into your life in a way that perhaps they weren't before, because you were trying to control how quickly they would grow. You were trying to, make sure that they did. And there was a lack of trust as well. And I think that's where the Saturn is showing up here a little bit, where it's like the things you can control and the things you can't, they certainly shape what decisions are available to you, but there's always lessons that you can take from the hard stuff too. And that's the hard lesson, right? Like that's a Saturn lesson. That's a Saturn lesson, right? My Saturn return was a while ago. Well, not a while ago. Like, I feel like there's still a period that it's like kind of wrapping up, but it's just, you get to this point where it's like, okay, now what? Now what? What do I want to decide for myself now, and about my happiness and about my joy, and how do I feel entitled to that? Not entitlement in a toxic way. I'm talking about to feel a specific level of entitlement where you are seeing yourself as capable of crafting your life in a way that puts you under the light of the sun, so that you don't go seeking shade, so that you sit in the sun and you bask in the glow of it, right? So that is a thing. That is a mighty thing. Okay, so this reading is phenomenal. I feel like you've got what it takes. Maybe putting a little bit more faith in yourself. Wow, this is the card that just popped out. I let grace lead the way. I let grace lead the way. Take the first step and you'll be shown the next step and the one after that. Know that life will love you every step of the way. Yeah, big time. Wow. Whoa. I nourish myself. Blueberries. I nourish myself. Decide that today you will only eat, decide that today you will eat only food that loves you. You know better than anyone what is best for you. Yeah, that's a big deal. I've talked about that before this week, but read a book about salmon, and now I'm like never eating sushi again. So yeah. But I think I nourish myself. It's not just about food. I think it's also about how you're nourishing yourself with your thoughts, because your second brain kind of lives in your gut, right? And so when you speak harmfully to yourself, it's worth considering how that might throw your second brain, your gut brain, into discord, and how specific things heal that, right? Always check with your doctor first, of course, but something that I have started using that's helped tremendously, and just making nutrients and food more accessible to my body, is fermented L-glutamine. Again, do not take it without talking to your doctor first. Don't do that. But it's iron vegan fermented L-glutamine, and it's supposed to help after workouts to repair muscle and things like that, but it's also just really good for your gut, and it can be as a byproduct of that good for heart stuff too. But it's understanding the way that your body works with everything that you put in it, not just food, but like thoughts too, thoughts as well. So keeping that in mind. Yeah, but let's read this here. Okay, celebrate life. Dearest you have a unique purpose and destiny that only you can fulfill. But first, you need to know that destiny isn't a destination. You don't arrive at some special place where poof, you're perfect and happy all the time. It's about establishing and firming up a commitment to a certain experience, whatever form that takes. Your soul knows what you need to experience. Your destiny is to be present to all of life's adventures, to discover your talents and full potential through allowing inspiration to lead you, and to risk standing apart from the crowd to listen to your soul. You are special as much as you are also, paradoxically, one with the world individual, yet part of a great whole. Both truths have led you to this moment where we are saying you are on the right track, even if your ego self doesn't see that. Listen to your soul, check in with spirit, keep going. Spirit loves you, life loves you, we love you. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like I'm having that kind of week too, right? Sometimes you just have to hit the reset button and pause and reflecting a little bit. But I think for whomever this is resonating, there's just, I feel like there's been a bit of like a process and a half. But I feel like you're manifesting really freaking awesome stuff. So, and not stuff as in like, I got this new device. It's not like that. It's like, you know, I just heard you are the Tesseract. I have no idea what that means. But for some people that might make sense. So, yeah, Saturn's a hard teacher, but you know what? It's like loving discipline from parents. It's loving discipline from our parents. That's really what it is. That's what Saturn is, in a way. So encouraging us to show up as fully and as deeply as we can, right? As fully and deeply. And I think it's the depth, because it's not just fully. Fully is like the spread, but the depth, it involves a level of commitment to ourselves. And that's where we begin to be able to, where we place our trust and faith in, right? We can place our trust in ourselves and our own kind of compass for joy and happiness, and our own compass for joy and happiness. And, you know, we can take in information from the outside, and depending on how we value and what we value, that can be integrated into it as well. But I think that the important point here is to not be afraid to feel it all either. Not be afraid to feel it all. So, all right, my darlings, that is your daily creative reading for August 24th. I hope that you are having a magical morning or day so far. If this resonates, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel. If you're joining from my subscriber base, thank you so much. So wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.